Seems like the Earth's been shaking lately. A lot of seismic activity across the globe. We can look at the recent quakes in Melbourne here. Crete. Is the something bigger happening beneath the surface?
It's absolutely incredible to really see the lava pouring into Honolulu.
It's judgment time. Recompense for everybody's crimes. Say you ain't seen the Father, know you lying. Messiah opening them seals. You can't run the high. You running out of time. You need to change your mind. Repent or die. The clouds getting closer to the earth. The wicked about to get hurt. Second entrance 15-4. Judgment coming saying, whoa, get on the ark and close the door. Your family you trying to warn. The Father ain't playing no more. It's creation, chase creation, but not the creator. They gon' say you wrong when they feel his anger. He sending prophets warning you from danger. He blowing candles out cause he the maker. He gave us life, folks, and he the taker. Lord of the wicked, we gon' see it with our eyes. Dwelling in this secret place and watching people die. Holding on to your word while my head to the sky. By the blood of the Lamb, we still alive. It's judgment time. They sold the 12 tribes. The same tree they hung us on is burning with fire. He sending floods, earthquakes, we in the end times. They gave his babies to the gators, don't forget now. He delivered us from Egypt, about to do it all again. Finding out that we the people, so we putting down our sins. Father, we wanna go home, Abba, please let us in. Holding on to your word, cause you bout to send your winds. Abba, keep us from the hour of temptation. Trusting in your word, we just waiting. Come get us from these nations. Abba, keep us from the trickery of Satan. Trusting in your word, not these nations. We in the tribulation.
Play it again. Thank you.
Seems like the Earth's been shaking lately. A lot of seismic activity across the globe. We can look at the recent quakes in Melbourne here. Crete. Is something bigger happening beneath the surface?
It's absolutely incredible to really see the lava pouring into Honolulu.
It's judgment time. Recompense for everybody's crimes. Say you ain't seen the Father, know you lying. Messiah opening them seals. You can't run the high. You running out of time. You need to change your mind. Repent or die. The clouds getting closer to the earth. The wicked about to get hurt. Second entrance 15-4. Judgment coming saying, whoa, get on the ark and close the door. Your family you trying to warn. The Father ain't playing no more. It's creation, chase creation, but not the creator. They gon' say you wrong when they feel his anger. He sending prophets warning you from danger. He blowing candles out cause he the maker. He gave us life, folks, and he the taker. Lord of the wicked, we gon' see it with our eyes. Dwelling in this secret place and watching people die. Holding on to your word while my head to the sky. By the blood of the Lamb, we still alive. It's judgment time.
With details of what had happened.
12 tribes. The same tree they hung us on is burning with fire. He sending floods, earthquakes, we in the end times. They gave his babies to the gators, don't forget now. He delivered us from Egypt, about to do it all again. Finding out that we the people, so we putting down our sins. Father, we wanna go home, Abba, please let us in. Holding on to your word, cause you bout to send your winds. Abba, keep us from the hour of temptation. Trusting in your word, we just waiting. Come get us from these nations. Abba, keep us from the trickery of Satan. Trusting in your word, not these nations. We in the tribulation.
Good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube. With Orlando, keeping it simple. How's everybody doing this morning? Happy Sabbath day, This is the day that the Most High have made. So let us be glad and rejoice in it. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. I hope everyone is doing well this morning. I hope that you all have had I hope you all have had a great week this week. And I hope that the Most High have blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and gentleness. I hope that He's really have taken care of you and your offspring. I hope that He is really giving you what your heart desire when it comes down to wisdom and knowledge and understanding of His word. You know, my week has been a good week. My wife and I, we went down to Florida for 4 days for a little small vacation. You know, it was pretty good. I can't complain about it. We took our RV and we went down there for 4 days, and it was good. But the hard reality for me was that people. First of all, I'm gonna say this. Sometimes you need your own to enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it. You gotta be able to have your own, so that when you have an opportunity to go to your own, you can enjoy it the way you're supposed to enjoy it. You can't enjoy somebody else's stuff the way you want to enjoy it, because it's not yours, it's theirs. So when it comes down to you trying to enjoy somebody else's stuff the way you want to enjoy it, you can't do it. You're not even invited the way they want you to be invited. You're not welcome the way they want you to welcome. You're not included the way they want to include you. So you really need your own to be able to enjoy it the way you need to enjoy it. But also, I realized down in Florida, it's very hostile. It's very hostile. It's a undercover hostility in Florida. It's like they want your money, but they don't want you. Or the visitors there, they act as if it's superiority down there in Florida, and it's something that you can't get used to. Because we talked to about 3 couples this week, right? And they said the same thing, and it was, it's subliminal, but it's there, but you gotta, in order to be able to enjoy life the way you want to enjoy life, you gotta have your own, and you got to support your own in order to be able to enjoy it as if it's your own. But other than that, I had a pretty good week, continuing to learn, it's so much stuff I learned down there just being observant of people. People understand their reality and they're functioning in it. They're functioning in their reality and they're moving in their reality. A lot of people are not functioning in their reality. They're still keeping their head in the sand. A lot of people are ignoring the elephant in the room, but the observance that we saw is that people are functioning in their reality. They're moving the way they're supposed to move. Because they don't see life as life. They see life as competition. That's why it's called race. R-A-C-E. Race is a competition, competitiveness. Ethnicity is your nationality. So when people see life as a R-A-C-E, which is a race or competition, they function in that race or that competition. They don't function in it as an ethnicity, ethnicity, or your nationality. They function it as competition. That's why Charles Darwin theory in evolution. Evolution means being able to adapt to the environment in order to be able to survive. And I'm paraphrasing. And if you're not able to adapt to the environment to survive, you're going to die. And see, when you're in a race, you understand that you're in a competition, so you have to evolve to be the best in the competition to win the race. But a lot of us a lot of people don't understand that. We still thinking we're living in life and life is just life. No, life is a competition. Only the strongest survive. Only the strong win the game. Like, for example, your best friend is gonna be your best man, or the woman who's getting married is gonna have her bridesmaid, which is her best friend. The best person, quote unquote, is supposed to get the job. The best team is supposed to win the game. Whatever. When it comes down to the best, life is a competition. Life is not to just live and enjoy things the way you're supposed to enjoy. No, you're competing every day. Like the best job, the best price you're gonna buy something that has the best price, which is competition. You are going to go to the store that has the best prices for you to be able to spend your money. So that is competition. Everything around us is competition. I'm going to buy the best car for the bang of my buck. That's competition. And if we don't realize that life is competition, life is a RACE, race, which is competition, we're going to lose every time. We're not going to win the race. We're not going to win the race. And how we participate in the race would dictate whether we win or lose the race. So that's what I learned down there in Florida this week, and just overall, life is competition. And we have to be able to adapt to that competition in order to survive. We have to continue to evolve, to move and thrive. And if we don't, we're going to die. So let us go ahead and turn to the book. I hope I didn't talk too much on that, but I hope you realize that Hey, this is what life is all about. They're not putting us in jail for no reason. You know, they're not putting that when a young man go to jail from the age of 19, they're not putting him in jail from 19 to 30 for no specific reason, for no just because. No, they're putting him in jail because the simple fact is that's his prime years. And they keeping him incarcerated through his prime years, so when he come out, he'll be dysfunctional. Because a young man learns from the age of 19 and 30 at his most growth period. So what they do, they keep him in jail at that time so that he will not learn. And if he do learn, it's going to be learning of negativity and not positive. Exodus 20, 1 through 17. and 1 through 17. And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Els before me. And thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any works, nor thy son, nor daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore if Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, and thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Amen. Good morning again, everyone. Good morning. If you could turn to the book of Zechariah. Turn to the book of Zechariah. Turn to the book of Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 11. Zechariah chapter 11. And it'll be going 1 through 14 or 1 through, I might just read the whole chapter. But I want to talk Zechariah chapter 11. I'm talking about Zechariah a little bit, but also in my thinking this week, I was like, well, man, why? You know, because I do a lot of inner monologuing, meaning that I speak to myself a lot inside, and I have inner communication with myself inside my thought process, my mind. I may not necessarily speak it out, but I talk to myself a lot to be able to help me to comprehend and understand things. And what made me do that is because I used to be an actor a long time ago. And I used to be in movies and plays and things of that nature. But I do a lot of inner monologuing to myself to help me to be able to talk myself through situations. And see, this week, I've been talking to myself a lot about leadership. And let me go ahead and do this. The key verse in this And this key verse in this one is in Zechariah 1 through 14. The key verse is verse 5. Key verse is verse 5, and it reads, "Who possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they sell them, and they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, or blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not." Okay? It says, "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not." Okay, the word pity. Let's see something. The word pity means don't have any compassion. Don't care about them. Pity them not means have compassion. Or spare them not. Okay, and it also means probably the same as preposition is to above, over, upon, against. Always in this last relations with downward. Okay, it means over. They don't pity them, basically. They don't have any sorrow for them. They don't have any compassion for them. That's what pity not means. It means their own shepherds pity them not. Means that they don't have any compassion for them. Okay? And the words for today, let me give it the title for today. The title for today is Judgment Starts in the House of Israel and Judah. Judgment starts in the house of Israel and Judah. Okay? Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. The title of the text again is Judgment Starts in the House of Israel and Judah. The word justice. Got two words for you. Justice. The virtue which consists in giving to everyone what is his or her due. Practical conformity to the law. Practical conformity to the law or to the principle, rectitude in the dealings of men with each other, honesty. Integrity. Justice is in honesty, integrity. Justice is in commerce, and mutual intercourse means personal relationships. Okay, justice is how you treat somebody in the midst of you having commerce, interpersonal relationships. It's just your integrity. That's what it is. Let me give you an example of that. I'm going to go to Ruth. Ruth chapter 2, verse 12. Justice. The Lord, Yahuwah, recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of Yahuwah El of Israel, under whose wing thou art come to trust. It means that you shall, also let me go to Galatians, give you more simple terms. Galatians 6 and 7. Justice is, be not deceived, El is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That is justice. That is justice. Whatever you sow is what you'll reap. That is justice. Okay? The word promise. Promise. Promise in general sense is a declaration written. It's a declaration written. It's a covenant or verbal made by one person to another, which bind the person who makes it either in honor or conscience or law to do or forbear a certain act specified. A declaration which gives to the person to whom it is made a right to expect or to claim the performance or forbearance of the act. A promise is a declaration, written or verbally spoken. A promise is also can be considered a covenant. That's what it can be considered as. So let me go to Exodus chapter 24 and 8 on that. And it reads, I'm going to go to 7 first. And he took the book of the covenant, the promise, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has said, we will do. This is a covenant. This is a promise. And be obedient. And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moshe and Aaron and 70 elders of Israel, and they saw that Yahuwah they saw the El of Israel, and they were under his feet, as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone. Okay, so a promise is a covenant, written or verbal, or a declaration. Okay? So let me go to also 1 Peter, because I want us to remember the title of the text today is Judgment Starts in the House of Israel and Judah. Let's go to Joel, because we got to understand, why do the judgment starts in the house of Israel and Judah? Why does the judgment starts in the house of Israel and Judah? Because he made a promise to Israel. He made a promise to Judah or Yehudah. He made a promise to them. Okay? In Joel 2:27 it says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, not any other nations. I'm in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahuwah, your El, and none else. So, if you're reading the Bible, you will understand that the Bible is specifically talking to the children of Israel and Judah. And Judah is the southern tribe. If you want to know who the northern tribe is talking about, how did the Most High speak to the northern tribe, you got to get this book here, the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants, to be able to understand that the Most High is speaking to the northern tribe in the Book of Mormons and the Doctrine and Covenants, to be able to understand that. But the Bible is mainly speaking to the children of Israel. Speaking to the children of Judah in the Bible. But it is talking to, in the Book of Mormons and Doctrine and Covenant, it's talking to the northern tribes. Okay, so it reads again. It says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahuwah, your El, and none else. He's saying that he's nobody else's El but the children of Judah. And my people shall never be ashamed. My people shall never be ashamed, which is Israel and Judah. Shall never be ashamed. Okay? Also, 1 Peter. Because we got to understand, why do the judgment comes to the children of Israel and Judah? Why were they scattered? Because they are the Most High's children. They are his offspring. 1 Peter 4:17. Okay, and it says, for the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of El. Who is the house of El? The house of Israel and Judah. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of El? Everything must start at the house of El first, which is Israel and Judah. Okay? So that's why the title is the way it is, because judgment starts in the house of Israel and Judah. He made a promise for justice. And justice is whatever you reap, whatever you sow. Okay? So let us go to Zechariah. Zechariah 11. Zechariah 11, the key verse I just told you was, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and that they sell and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Okay. So now, when I was looking at just society and life and how things are going on in the world, I get I get upset a little bit. And I get upset because we're talking about, I get upset because our leadership. Our leadership really have sold us out. On a global scale, but also when it comes down to your nationality or your political parties, all of us have sold us out, but I'm just want to talk about us. Most of my messages is for us. Our leadership really has sold us out. They have really threw us under the bus for their own personal gain, and it really, and because if you look at our situations, if you really look at our situations really haven't changed. Even though it appears that we are doing well in society, but only a few are actually doing well. It's not on a large scale, it's on a small scale that we are doing well. If you look at our health conditions, we're not doing so good. If you look at our financial situation, our educational institutions, we're not doing well because I was just listening to this guy yesterday and how he was just bringing stuff up, and me and my wife and I, we were just Googling stuff riding back home yesterday, and she was just astonished at all the information she ran across. Right, baby?
Yes.
She was just astonished at all the information she ran across, because what she thought it wasn't actually what it was. And it was very heartbreaking for her to see this. And the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, but the sadder you get when the more you learn. Because you see that we have all been tricked, hoodwinked, and bamboozled. We have all been tricked, hoodwinked, and bamboozled. And that is the most horrific thing, is that our leadership allowed this to happen. Maybe they allowed it to happen because they didn't want to get assassinated, because most people who try to wake the people up wind up dying from the government hands. They wind up something tragically wind up happening to them. And that's why a lot of people really decide not to tell the truth, because the simple fact is they don't want their offsprings to be in the funeral home. And, it's sad because they rather go another route than go the route that is most how can I say it, more worthy. Because we think if we live a long life, 99 years, we done a good job. But what did you do within the 99 years that you lived? You very seldom hear about a person who lived 99 years and really didn't do a whole lot for the community. But you hear a whole lot about people who did a whole lot for the community but only lived a short period of time because they lived their purpose. It's like, and I'm not glorifying this guy at all, but one of the best rappers that they talk about all the time is Tupac. Tupac is quote unquote one of the best rappers that was in time because what he was trying to do for the community. I'm not saying he didn't have a lot of negativity behind himself, but he did had a lot of positive that he was trying to do for the community. Also, when you just look at a lot of positive people that try to do positive things for the community, they don't live a longer life than those who's not doing anything at all. Those who's not doing anything at all for the community live a long, healthy life, but that don't mean that they're going to get into the kingdom because they lived a long, healthy life. That means that they just lived a long life. But the value of their life is very small because of the contribution that they made to society. But those who have lived a short life and the contributions that they made to society is way more important than those who have lived a long life. And you can look at, I just say Dr. King, for example, Malcolm X, for example. Kwame Fui, I can't remember I don't want to mess his name up. Kwame, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but these people did great work. These people did great work. And they did great work within a short time period. So their lives are more valued than those who live a long life and then do nothing at all for the community. So that's basically what the Zechariah was talking about in chapter 11, is because Zechariah, the first 8 chapters, is talking about rebuilding of the temple, trying to get the temple right, trying to make sure that you get your spiritual life right as well as the physical temple right. You know, we have to make sure that if we're going to work on the temple, which is the body, we got to make sure we get it right. We can't have it incomplete, because if we have it incomplete, it always room for someone to come in to destroy. But if we complete the temple, and by doing the Most High's will, the temple will be rebuilt. Okay, but also in chapter 9 through 14, it's talking about the restoration of Israel and Judah. But in order for you to be restored, you got to have the temple built completely. That's a physical and a spiritual temple. Your temple, you have to live by the laws, statutes, commandments in order for that temple to be restored. But in chapter 11, Zechariah was talking about the leadership. Because I was looking at an article, it says that the Christian, just in our community alone, they have probably got over, I just say $5 billion. They earned over $5 billion out of the black churches in the last 100 years. Just say 50 years. I'm just hypothetical. I didn't get the statistics. I saw the article, but I didn't want to misquote it. But they saying that the black churches have gotten over $5 billion. Let's just say $5 billion in the last 50 years. And they saying that because the churches have gotten so much money, you can't see no growth from them gaining all that money from the congregation, which majority of them is black or Hebrew. They saying that the churches have not benefited the community like they should have, even though they have gained over $5 billion. And I talked to one pastor, and I heard one pastor say that he earned over, say, $50 million within, say, 15 years. He earned over $50 million with over 15 years. And I'm saying to myself, what have you done for the community when you have gained over $15 million? $50 million within 15 years. What did you do for the community? And like my wife and I were talking yesterday, she said, baby, the reason why churches don't want to tell the truth is because they got, you want to tell them? Because they got kids in college, they got a $500,000 home or $1 million home. They got these Bentleys and they got all these Rolls Royces that they got to keep this lifestyle up in order to, they got to keep this lifestyle up. So in order to keep this lifestyle up, they can't tell the truth. They can't tell the truth because if they actually told the truth, they are assuming that the people will not still vote, not give them money. They're moving off assumptions. They're moving off of fear and speculations. They're not moving off of facts. So that's basically what Zechariah is talking about. Because the Most High, Zechariah is dealing with the leadership of the church at the time. But I'm just going to read 1 through 4, and then I'm going to deal with 5, and then I'll finish reading the rest of it. Okay, it says, open thy door, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy city, thy cedar. What's happening now is that it's compared and contrast. He's saying how good this place look. He's getting ready to devour. Even though you look good, I'm finna bring judgment on you because of how you look and what you have done. Then it says, how far trees, for the cedar is fallen because of the mighty are spoiled. The word spoil means oppressed or laid waste. Because the mighty are laid waste. How? How means to cry with the sound of distress. How means to cry with the sound of distress. Ye oak of Bashan. For the forest of the vintage is come down. It says destruction has come upon you. Even though you look good and you're presenting well, judgment is here right now. Judgment is here right now. And it says, there is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is laid waste or spoiled. A voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. And he's using these as comparison to get you to be able to understand that the young lion means a village. It says for a voice of the roaring of a young lion, a young city, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. It means that these places have been decapitated through the teachings of the shepherds. He's saying, and I'm going to go on and finish reading a little bit of it. It says, there is a voice of the howling, of a crying of distress of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled. A voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. Thus said Yahuwah my El, feed the flocks of the slaughter. Now in verse 4, it's telling Zechariah to go feed the flock of the slaughter because the shepherds didn't do a good job of feeding the children. It's like now, it's a lot of brothers out here trying to tell the truth because the shepherds of old have misled the people for a long period of time. They're out here trying to wake the people up. They're trying to make sure that they feed the people the right nutrients so that they can live a healthy life, because the old have led them to the slaughterhouse. One day, I was at work, and it was a pastor that I worked with. He found out that I was teaching. He said, well, you need to get a little hooping in you. You need to learn how to hoop. They love that hooping. You need to get a little of that hooping in you, so they love it. They want to hear it at the end to get them riled all up and hear them say, yeah! Yeah! Hooping ain't doing nothing but making somebody feel emotional, but that's what he was telling me. This guy was telling me to learn how to hoop when I became a pastor, a teacher. Gotta learn how to hoop. Get them riled up at the end. You're sitting that sick. He was telling me, you're sitting that signal over that to the piano or the keyboard, hit it. And that's when he get the rile, hear it in the voice and hooping. Wasn't doing that for the people, but that's where our older teachers taught the people. They didn't break down the way they supposed to break down scriptures and teach people the right way, because they felt like if they taught the people the right way, they would not listen to them, or they would not do what they supposed to do. People on YouTube still making just as much money as some pastors that's in mega churches, because they still giving. Some YouTubers are still asking people to give to help the ministry. So even if the churches did it the right way, they don't know if the people still give or not. But they doing it because they wanted the money. And just say hypothetically, in the last 50 years, we got $5 billion. What do we have to show for it through our churches? The church is the nicest building in a broke down regular community. But this is what Zechariah is talking about. It says, "Howl, fair trees, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O ye oak of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. There is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled. A voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of the Jordan is spoiled." He said, "Thus saith Yahuwah my El, feed the flock of the slaughter." He was telling Zechariah, feed the flock of the slaughter. Why? Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich, and their own shepherd pity them not. And and I'm gonna get back to that, but I want us to understand something. Do you think our preachers really care about the sheep, or do you think they care about the pockets? Do you really think the pastors really care about you as a person, or do you think they care about what you do for them? And I want to ask you that question, because that's what it's saying in verse 5. He says, their own shepherds pity them not. He said, your pastors back in the days didn't care nothing about you. He said, your pastors of today don't care nothing about you. Your pastors of today don't care nothing about you. It was this pastor in this church that had molested a 16-year-old girl in Colorado. He had molested this girl when she was at the age of 16 years old. And the pastor blamed the girl for him molesting her. He didn't blame himself, and he didn't say, hey man, I need to go ahead and turn myself in to the authorities because of what I did with this young girl when she was 16 years old and she was working in my office. He didn't do that. He blamed the girl and said, I just had some inappropriate dealings with this young lady. And the young lady had to come up and say what the pastor actually did. Look at what the Catholic Church did to the children all around the world. Look how many molestation charges they got. Look how many killings they got on land that they took from people. Dead bodies that has been found on their yards. And we trust these people. Do you really think they care about you, or do you think they care about what they're doing to you? Because because of what's going on, do you really think that they church care about you or what you can do for them? Do you really think so? Just look at a lot of the molestation charges that pastors have been doing throughout the time. Do they really care about the person who they molested? Or they care about themselves for the self-gratification? Or do you think them pastors care about the $100 line, the $50 line, $75 line of building that big mega church? Because that's what Zechariah is talking about. He said the shepherds didn't care nothing about them. That was in old time, and this is present time. Let's go to 6, verse 6. It says, For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahuwah, but lo, I will deliver the men, everyone into his neighbor's hands, and into the hands of his kings, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hands I will not deliver them. Also I said, For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land. He said, I ain't gonna have sorrow for the people in the land no more. Said to you, but lo, I will deliver the men, everyone into his neighbor's hands. Meaning there's finna be some chaos and commotion going on because of what the shepherds have done. Because of what the shepherds have done, the Most High said, no, enough is enough of this. I'm not having no more of it. It's like what you call the purge. The Most High said, it's finna get ready to be a purge because of what the shepherds did. Because of what the shepherds did, it's finna get ready to be a purge in the land. It says, For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith Yahuwah. But lo, I will deliver the men, everyone into his neighbor's hands, and in the hands of his kings, his leadership. And they shall smite the land, and out of their hands I will not deliver them. He said, nobody going to be delivered. Nobody going to be saved because of the wickedness that have been done on the land. Nobody going to be saved. He said, I will feed the flock of the slaughter, even you, O pole of the flock. I took unto me 2 sheaves, and one I call beauty, and the other I call bands, and I will feed the flock. He only gonna feed the who? The poor. That's what it says. And I will feed the slaughter. The scattered, the miseducated, the ones that was misled. But those who did the misleading, those who did all this stuff, they're the ones going to get ready to get punished. The shepherds, the leaders. He said, 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month. 3 shepherds I cut off in 1 month, and my soul lost them. and their souls also abhorred me. Huh? Loft. That's right. My wife said, what? He said they're going to start dying off. Right? The word loft means mourn, reaper, shortening, straighten, trouble, or vexed. Yes, these leaves finna get ready to start dying off, like my wife said 2 weeks ago in a dream that the Most High gave her. See, the hardest part about life, because we've been misled so much, because some people think they can just say, oh Lord, forgive me, you're forgiven, and you ain't got to do no punishment for it. In this, Galatians 6:7, it says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So when you go back to Zechariah 11:6, for I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, says Yahuwah, but lo, I will deliver the men, everyone into his neighbor's hands, and into the hands of his kings, and they shall smite the land, and out of their hands I will not deliver them. Because the shepherds did not care about the souls of the people, why should the Most High care about the shepherd's soul? If you don't care about nobody, why should the Most High care about you? And if you don't do nothing for nobody, why the Most High should do for you? If you don't have compassion on your people, why should the Most High have compassion on you? Verse 7, it says, I will feed the flock of the slaughter, even you, O pole of the flock. I took unto me 2 sheaves, the one I call beauty and the other I call ban, and I fed the flock. And the 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month. I killed in 1 month. And my soul loved them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. Listen to what the Most High said. Then said I will not feed you that die, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. So the Most High is saying, I don't care if you die. Go on and die. I don't care. Let you be cut off. If you intentionally did something to somebody, but you're expecting something different to come onto you, you're absolutely wrong. He said, that die, that die, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat everyone the flesh of another. He said, now you're going to die, you're going to be cut off, and you're going to be cannibals. Then it said, I took my staff, even beauty, and cut it as under, that I might break my covenant which I made with all the people. And it was broken in that day, so that the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of Yahuwah. And I say unto them, if ye think good, give me my price. And if it's not, forbear. So they wait for my price, 30 pieces of silver. That is very significant within itself. 30 pieces of silver because they're only giving him 30 pieces. He only asking for 30 pieces of silver because that's how much a slave used to be sold for. But also we got to understand that a slave life was nothing. But Judas of Iscariot sold the Messiah's life for 30 pieces of silver, and Judas thought his life wasn't even worth living. So that's why he gave such a low price for it, because he didn't even think of the Most High's life to be worth any more than a slave. Then it says, Yahuwah said unto me, cast it upon the potter, a goodly price that I was praised at of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of Yahuwah. Then I cut as under my other staff even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And Yahuwah said unto me, take unto thee yet the instrument of a foolish shepherd. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land which shall not visit those that be cut off. Which shall not be cut off. Neither shall seek the young ones, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that stands still. But he shall eat the flesh of the fat and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherds that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arms, and upon his right eye, and his arms shall be clean dry, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Talking about the shepherds. But I want to deal with verse 5. What the shepherds did to the people. The shepherds just didn't misteach them. They sold them. They sold them into slavery. But go to Jeremiah. Go to Jeremiah 23. One and 2. This is talking about the leaders right now. It says, woe be unto the pastors that destroyed and scattered the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahuwah. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah El of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock, and have driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit you. I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith Yahuwah. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries where I have driven them, and I will bring them again to their fold, and they shall be fruitful and increase. Understand that. Let's look at that. Let's circle Jeremiah 23 and 3. Let's go to another one. What the shepherds did, he said in verse 2, he says, therefore, thus saith Yahuwah El of Israel, again the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock, and have driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith Yahuwah. See, you can ask a pastor, what day is the Sabbath day? They'll tell you it's Saturday. But they'll tell you we go to church on the Lord's day. But the Most High didn't tell you to keep the Lord's day, which is a made-up day. He told you to keep the Sabbath day. And when a pastor tell you lies, he's scattering you to do whatever you want to do. He's misleading you and misguiding you. But that pastor don't realize that what he's doing to you is going to happen to him. Everything he's doing to you is going to come back on him. But he's not realizing it consciously. Because he's doing it for the money. He's not really doing it for you, because he really did it for you. He'll do what he's supposed to do. That's why the judgment starts in the house of Israel and Judah. Because El is our El. Micah 3:9-12. See, leadership is very important. Leadership puts you in a good condition, or leadership puts you in a bad condition. Bottom line. It says, "Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Judah, Jacob, and prince of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment, that hates judgment, and pervert all equity. They build up Zion with blood and Jerusalem with iniquities." He said, you build up these places by bloodshed and by sin. It says, the head thereof judge for reward. The prince thereof teach for hire. Oh, the priest, what I say? The priest thereof teach for hire. That means these people get paid to teach. They're not doing it. Some of them are not doing it because the simple fact is they're called to do it. They're doing it because of the amount of money that they make. Like I told you, this guy made over $50 million in 15 years. That's how they got the big houses and the nice fancy cars and the nice clothes and the alligator shoes and the $500, $600, and $700 watches and the $800 watches. They was teach for hire. And the prophets of thereof divine for money. Listen to that. Divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Lord, and say, is not Yahuwah among us? None evil can come upon us. Verse 12, therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become a heap, and the mountains of the houses as the high places of the forest. Because of what these pastors did, your land gonna be destroyed. See, shepherds come from president to Congress, House of Representatives, and so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. Governor, mayor, city councilman, so forth and so forth and so forth. Teachers, pastors, police officers, all those are considered to be in leadership positions. A young man that just got shot 90 times. Didn't have no gun, didn't have nothing. He got shot 90 times by the police officers. 9-0 in Akron, Ohio. The guy didn't do nobody. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't do nothing to nobody. He was just running from the police. That was a traffic stop. But they turned around and killed a young man and they shot him 90 times. But another guy can go in there and kill up 10 people and he come out alive. And you don't think the Most High is going to deal with these people according to their judgments, their actions? These are people in leadership roles. So you can't just, you can look at just pastors and flocks, but you also got to look at the Senate, the Congress, the House of Representatives. You got to look at the president. You got to look at the even principals over the school system, the districts. You got to look at everybody who's in these leadership roles, and they got to understand that, hey, you're going to be held accountable for your actions that you have done. And if you're not held accountable, and you're going to be held accountable. Point blank, simple as that. Huh?
Not standing up and stopping what's
Right. Say it again.
not standing up.
Let's go to John 6:16-2. See, our leadership has allowed a lot of things to happen. But they got to understand that it's going to come back on them too. John 16:1-2, it says, these things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended, or ye shall not do sin. They shall put you out of the synagogue. Yea, the time cometh, that whosoever kill you would think that he doeth good service. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. So, the police officer who saved that guy life for killing people, they think they know the Father by saving his life and rendering incorrect judgment, because they should have killed him, because the simple fact is he killed people. But this young guy who they killed for not killing nobody, they think they did the right thing. But in actuality, they didn't. And the reason why they did these judgments, because the Father did not know them, and they don't know the Father. These are some wicked and demonic people. People come dressed in sheep clothing, but as a wolf. They can look the part, and they can talk the part, but when it comes down to their actions, they're nothing whatsoever. And let's go back to Zechariah. Zechariah 11. See, the pastors didn't, or the leadership didn't just sell the children into slavery. It said, and hold themselves not guilty. Everything that they think they did, they think they innocent of it. I'm just following what the rules say. I'm just following this, and I'm just doing what the law say. I'm just doing what my leaders say do. Stop and frisk was passed down from the chief of police. Then it was passed down from the chief of police. Then it came down from the governor to the chief of police. Or from the governor to the mayor to the chief of police. Stop and frisk came from hierarchy. But they think what they're doing is right. They think what they're doing is right. Everything that the leadership is doing, they think they're doing is right. What they're doing is right. But let's go to Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50:7. Let me go to verse 6 first. It says, my people has been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountains to the hills. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. Listen to that. Let me read that over. My people has been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountains to the hill, meaning that they continue to decrease in status. They have forgotten their resting place. That means that they've forgotten their El. All that found them have devoured them. Now look at your communities. Who's in your communities taking all your resources and using it for their benefit? All that have found them have devoured them. And their adversaries say, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahuwah. They say, well, we ain't done no problem. We ain't done no sin. We ain't done nothing wrong, because they did wrong against their God. Because they did wrong against their God, gave us the right to do whatever we want to do to them. That's why people shoot us and kill us in the street, because they feel like they can, because we ain't doing what's right. They said like what that man was doing, he ran a high-speed chase. So it gave us the right to shoot him. It gave us the right to shoot him 90 times, because he was going against the laws of the land. They have sinned against Yahuwah, the habitants of justice, even Yahuwah, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of Chaldea and be as he-goats before the flock. For lo, I will raise and I will cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, and their arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. But they saying the people who possess us and kill us, they feel like they had a right to do it because we have went against our El. But the reason why we went against our El is because of our leadership. Not because we just knew better, it's because we didn't know any better. Why we didn't know no better? Because of what our leadership did. Let's go back to Zechariah. Verse 5. I dealt with possessors, slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. They say they're not guilty because of what we do. Not because of what they do, and because of what we do. Then it says, and they that sell them say, be blessed of Yahuwah. Human trafficking. There's been over 75,000 black young ladies been human trafficking, and still going on to this day. That is the #1 business going on right now, human trafficking. Human trafficking is the #1 business going on right now. 75,000 women have been human trafficking, have been missing. Let's go to Genesis 37. And see, I don't even go into a Christian church no more. But are they telling the women to protect themselves from human trafficking? Are they telling the women to protect themselves when they're out at night? Are they telling the women to make sure that they don't do certain things? Are they telling the women to make sure they okay. Don't anybody who listening to me go to a Christian church. Are your pastors telling you this? Are your pastors telling you, make sure if you're going to go out at night, make sure you have some protection with you. Make sure you travel with a friend. Make sure at the minimum, if you don't have nothing but a taser or pepper spray, make sure you have that. And you walk, when you walk into your car, you have it out in your hand in case somebody come out, try to get you. You got it, and you can spray them. Do any of your pastors tell y'all that? Genesis 37, 26 and 20 through 28. It said, and Judah said, this is when they get ready to sell Joseph into slavery, human trafficking. And Judah said unto his brother, what profit is it if we slay or kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, less than a slave. And they bought Joseph into Egypt. See, our leadership just didn't allow somebody to slay us. They just didn't, the people who slaying us, they called themselves to be innocent, but they also allowed human trafficking to go on. You don't think the church should be talking about human trafficking? You don't think the Christian church should be, one of the biggest deals they should be talking about is human trafficking? Because that's what affects our community the most. But is our church talking about it? They talking about Roe versus Wade. That's just so irrelevant. If you was following the commandments, you wouldn't even have to worry about it or deal with it because you ain't having sex before marriage.
It's good.
If you're teaching your if you putting your daughter on birth control at the age of 13, you letting her know it's okay to have sex. That's what you're doing. You letting her know it's okay to have sex because you're giving her an insurance policy. And that's what birth control is, an insurance policy that you probably won't get pregnant. But what it's doing is it's tearing up her ovaries and other stuff for her reproductive system because of it's a race and not a living. Life is a race. So they put your children on birth control because they're tearing up her reproductive systems so that she cannot reproduce. It's not an insurance policy to make sure that she don't get pregnant. If you want to make sure that she don't get pregnant, tell her keep her leg closed. Let's go to Nehemiah. Five and 8. And I will say unto them, we after our own abilities have redeemed our brother the Jews, which were sold unto the heathens. And will ye even sell your brethren, or shall they be sold unto us? Then held their peace and found nothing to answer. The church, the Christian church, or the Catholic church was very important in the slave trade. The Christian church was very important to the slave trade because the Christian church understood that in order to build the things that they needed to build, they need to have slavery. And they knew this. The church allowed slavery to happen because the simple fact is they was making money off the slave. And the Catholic Church was one of the number one providers for slavery. Zechariah. See, who possessed or slayed them? The leadership knew about that. The leadership knew that they held themselves not guilty. The leadership knows that human trafficking is going on. But also, the leadership is not going to point out these people wrong. The people say that they are blessed. The leadership say, "Blessed be Yahuwah, for I am rich." Now they're associating their material possessions as worthy. As it's something. It is something to have. People look at the material possessions as more worthy than a spiritual gift. A spiritual righteousness. Because a man looks up on top of the hill, he living in a big, pretty house on top of the hill, he got all these cars, clothes, and houses. They look at that as being successful or being rich. But walking in the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High is being rich and having His blessings. Deuteronomy 29. I'm going to read you something else too. Deuteronomy 29. 19 through 21. And it says, "It came to pass, when he heard the words of this curse, he that blessed himself in his mind, saying, I have peace, I shall have peace, though I walk in imagination of my heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. Yahuwah will not spare him, but then the anger of Yahuwah and his jealousy shall smoke against that man. And all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and Yahuwah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Yahuwah shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law." See, when that man said, "I'm blessed and I'm rich," that man ain't brought nothing but a curse upon him. And leadership knows these things. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 4. "For all the unfaithfulness shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, said Yahuwah, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. For the wickedness have exceeded polluted has exceedingly polluted the whole earth. Their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, said Yahuwah, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those days, in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cry unto me, And the souls of the just complain continually. Cause that's all I was doing to the Most High this morning in prayer. I said, this your fault. I said, what you see how people going through? I said, it's your fault. I said, it's your fault that this happened. But it's our fault, but it's at least your fault too. What I see going on, I'm complaining to the Most High because of the conditions of the people. I see sorrow, I see hurt, I see pain, I see disgust. And it's from all sides. Because some people you see some people don't even want to acknowledge their stupidity. They don't want to acknowledge their wrongdoing. They don't want to face it because it's too hurtful and too shameful. And the other people don't want to acknowledge it because of the same thing. And when you sit back and look at how like I put some on about the BET Award, that's a comedy show to distract you from what's going on. That mockery that they put on BET. And our people are just subject to laughing at it and looking at it as if it is something good. That's a tragedy. And I look at it and say how disgraceful these people are. But we're looking at it like it's all good. Yeah, that's BET. But they're humiliating you. They're making you look bad. They're making you look real bad, and you're entertaining that. You're entertaining that. And I'd be like, man, can you believe it? Verse 10, it says, in verse 9, it says, and therefore said Yahweh, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, of Mizraim, but I will bring them with a mighty hand, an outstretched arm, and smite Egypt of Mizraim with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. See, the Most High called us we're precious people. We're very precious people. But we don't realize that we are precious people. We don't realize that. We don't realize that. And because we don't realize it, we don't act like it. Let me go back. I'm about done. I'm finna sum it up for you in a few minutes. It says, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherd pity them not. Ezekiel 34 and 6. Go 35 first. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. They became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My shepherds wander through all the mountains and upon every hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. What am I saying in all this? And what does salvation has to do with this? First judgment comes to the house of Israel and Judah because we are his children. But salvation is to understand that trying to see something. Salvation comes in Proverbs 3 and 5. It says, trust in Yahuwah with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes. Fear Yahuwah and depart from evil. See, our leadership know that they misleading us. Our leadership knew that they misled us. Our leadership was part of the whole process of misleading us. Our leadership was a part of it. They was intertwined with them. Our leadership allowed it to happen. And they allowed it to happen for their own greed. They allowed it to happen for their own purpose. All the amount of money that this, and I don't know why my internet will not come up, but my internet won't come up right now. The leadership knew this. They knew it. They didn't allow it to happen. They kept us closed. They kept us dumbfounded. They kept us in this decapitated state for their benefit. They did all this for their benefit. And I'm not just talking about the pastors. I'm talking, huh?
What are you trying to pull?
I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm talking about from the president all the way down. Because you can ask a teacher today, is America a corporation or a country? She'll tell you behind closed doors what's the actual truth is, but she won't tell you in front of everybody. That's just to the lowest level of influence. See, the parents still in trouble too. Why? Parents are the first liars to the children. Parents are the first liars to the children.
So everybody has been an accessory to murder. Everybody have. The minute you said that there's a Santa Claus coming out of the tree, and you live in, it's out of the chimney, and you live in the ghettos with no fireplace, you lying. But you tell your parents not to lie. You tell your children not to lie, but you the first lie to them. See, this is not just on a singular level, it's on a global level. But why we do the things that we do is the real reason, is the real problem. Why did the leaders do it? For their benefit. Why are we doing all these things? For our benefit and not for nobody else's benefit. Let me just read you, because let me just read you this. It says, those who make the laws of Satan and administer these laws unto the children of men shall come forth at the day of Yahuwah, and hope that they too might receive a justification and a reward for that which they have done during the days of their probation. Then shall the sword of his mouth condemn them above all others who have set themselves up in the glory and honor of men. And these are those who cover their righteousness by darkness of the robe that they symbolically wear when they administer the law and justice of Satan unto the children of men. He was talking about judges, right? Judges put themselves in a high position. And they judge according to what they see and not according to their mind. Everybody do things according to what they see and not according to righteousness. Your salvation comes when you lean not to your own understanding in this life. Your salvation comes when you trust in Yahuwah and stop doing things the way man wants you to do them. Because when you start to do things the way man wants you to do them and doing the way the Most High wants you to do them, you wouldn't lead people astray. You wouldn't cause them to be scattered. You wouldn't cause them to be slain. You wouldn't say what you're doing is innocent because of the simple fact of what you thought was right. You would not cause them to be human trafficked and say that you're rich because you sold them. When you start doing what's right, that's the beginning of your salvation. See, our shepherds led us astray and caused us to be destroyed, and everybody around us devoured us. But they did it for their own good because of what they wanted and what they saw for themselves. It says, trust in Yahuwah with all thy heart and lean not to thy own understanding. So let me pray. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we just thank you for who you are, what you have done, what you continue to do. Abba, we understand that our leadership has put us in decapitated state. We understand that we don't than we did in 1800s. We understand that men are more incarcerated than ever before. We understand that our families are ran by single-parent households. We understand that we got a high divorce rate in our families. We understand that we are sick with obesities, high blood pressure, heart disease, and all these other illnesses. We understand all these things. And we continue to understand that we put our trust in man and not in you. We continue to listen to these leaders who's trying to do things for their personal gain. They're doing things for their personal gain. We understand, Abba, that what the leadership did is they was hired for money. Like it said in Micah, the head thereof judge for reward, and the priest thereof teach for hire. We understand that our leaders are only doing it, a lot of them are only doing it for the money and the accolades and the status and the influence. We understand this, Abba. But Proverbs 3 say, we have to trust in you and lean not to our own understanding when it comes down to how we deal with things in life. So Abba, we ask that you help us and you guide us. Not to trust in prince nor man because they will fail us. Because of their own personal greed. But to trust in you. Abba, we ask that you continue to protect us and guide us and lead us. We ask that you continue to direct our path. Abba, we just ask that you continue to let your will be done. Abba, we ask that you just continue to forgive our ancestors for the sins they committed, our children, our offsprings, and even ourselves. And Abba, we just ask that you continue to shed the light of the wickedness that is upon the world. And all these things we pray. So let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. I didn't get nobody to comment me on the box or going to the range. But I will be going this week and next week with some people. So I hope you all are ready. Because they said we only got like 10 weeks left of food in the stores. So I hope you all are ready and prepared. Y'all have a blessed one.
Recompense for everybody crimes. Say you ain't sin the Father, know you lying. Messiah opening them seals, you can't run the high. You running out of time, you need to change your mind, repent or die. The clouds getting closer to the earth, the wicked about to get hurt. 2 Ezra 15:4, Judgment coming saying, whoa, get on the ark and close the door. Your family you trying to warn, the Father ain't playing no more. It's creation, chase creation, but not the creator. They gon' say he wrong when they feel his anger. He sending prophets warning you from danger. He blowing candles out cause he the maker. He gave us life, folks, say he'll take the word of the wicked, we gon' see it with our eyes. Dwelling in this secret place and watching people die. Holding on to your word and walk my head to the sky. By the blood of the Lamb, we still alive. It's judgment time.